Hi, my name is Tobias Oker, and I'm presently working at the University of Georgia as a research engineer. My specialty is irrigation. That is, in simple words, that's basically the application of water to crops in the field uh, using machines like the center pivots you see around town and other sprinklers that some of you may be familiar with. I'm originally from Uganda, and over the following minutes, next couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you more about my country, Uganda. I'll start off by showing you, as you can see, the flag of my country, and later on, I'll tell you more about this flag and how, and the little bird that you see in the middle of the flag there. All right, so let's talk about the distance between Georgia and Uganda. As you can see on the map of the world there, if you took a direct flight from Georgia up to Uganda, my country, you'd have to travel 7,727 miles. And below, you can see the geographic coordinates of my country. Basically, Uganda is what they call a tropical country because it lies between the tropics of Cancer and the tropics of Capricorn, right? So on the first slide, I told you about the flag of Uganda and the bird you saw in the middle of the flag. So basically that bird is called a crested crane, which is shown in the picture on the right of the slide. The bird is just like in the United States, you have the national bird is the bald eagle. In Uganda, the national bird is the crested crane. This bird is found in many parts of the country, in many wetlands, as you can see in the country, and it is protected. So, and it's been the national emblem of Uganda as a country for over 100 years. If you noticed the feathering of the bird, there is black, yellow, and red, and a reddish color. Now, those colors, those are the colors of the colors of the national flag of Uganda were derived from the colors of the feathering of the crested crane. So I'll tell you some basic facts about Uganda. The current president of Uganda is called Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Uganda has a population of about 42.9 million people. The land area of the country is about 78.7 thousand square miles. Basically, if you look at the state of Georgia, Uganda is 1.25, about the land area only is about 1.25 times the size of the state of Georgia. Uganda has many tribes, and officially there are more than 43 languages that are recognized. The national language is English, and some of the main spoken languages of the 43 or more are Luganda, Lusoga, Luo, Luchiga, Swahili. Uganda, like the United States, Uganda was a British colony, and it got its independence on October 9th, 1962. Uganda basically is an agricultural country. The economy of the country is basically relying on producing crops, and the main crops that we grow and export around the world include coffee, tea, tobacco, bananas, corn, and fish. So the capital city of Uganda is called Kampala. The picture on the right shows you a snapshot of Kampala city. The population of Kampala city is about 1.6 million people. Several hundred, about or slightly over, about 200 years ago, The area on which the city sits was basically a hunting ground. It was like a forest of some kind, and it was a hunting ground of a local king who ruled that area. And the hills were full of, had plenty of impala, which is a sort of antelope. So if you notice Kampala, impala, the name of the animal is basically the name from which the city Kampala was derived from. In a local language, Kampala means the place of the impalas. So I'll tell you about Ugandan money. The Ugandan currency is called the shilling, and it is abbreviated using UGX, or the symbol is a slash and an equal sign, as I can show you right here. Right now, if you have $1 US, you can get about 3,812 shillings. The current currency notes of Uganda, the highest note we have is 50,000 shillings, which is the brownish yellowish one in the middle here. And the smallest note is 1,000 shillings, which would be this one right here. So that's basically Ugandan money, as you can see. And if you notice, all of it has the crested crane with another animal in the middle. So this is a map of Uganda, an enlarged map of Uganda, and I'm going to tell you about the countries that neighbor Uganda. So we have the Democratic Republic of Congo to the west. Then we have Kenya to the east. Kenya is famous because it has lots of people around the world going safari to Kenya. Then we have Rwanda to the southwest of the country. Then we have South Sudan to the north of the country. And we have Tanzania to the south of the country. So here are some fun facts about Uganda. Uganda is only one of 3 countries in the world where you can find mountain gorillas living in the wild. And in Uganda, you'll find them in the southwest part of the country, the blinking red spot there. There are 2 national parks there. One is the Bwindi Penetron National Park, and the other one is called the Gahinga National Park. So 45% of the Lake Victoria, which is the second largest freshwater lake in the world, lies in Uganda. The blinking red spot shows the Uganda part of Lake Victoria. And the famous River Nile, many of you could have heard of the River Nile. And Uganda basically forms part of the uppermost reaches of the River Nile. If you see that blue line, basically that is the River Nile flowing out of Lake Victoria. And on the picture, this shows you some of how the River Nile looks like many parts along the river. The Uganda portion of the River Nile only is about 386 miles long. So another interesting fact is the equator, which is basically the latitude 0, passes through Uganda. And if you see the red dotted line, that basically shows where the latitude 0 passes through Uganda. And at many locations in the country, you'll find markers which show exactly where the equator passes from. Another fun fact is, if you've heard of rift valleys, there's the Great African Rift Valley, there's the Eastern and the Western Rift Valley, and the western arm of the Rift Valley basically forms much of the western border of Uganda. If you see the 2 dotted lines, that shows basically the area where the Western Rift Valley passes. Now, the Western Rift Valley is interesting. From a geological perspective, it's a very interesting area. You have lots of lakes, as you can see on the map, And there are unique lakes which they call crater lakes, and they are Rift Valley lakes. Below the left corner of the slide, you can see an example of what this is a crater lake and what it looks like. They are usually very beautiful. So I'll tell you some other interesting attractions of Uganda by going through. I've tried to pack as much as I can in the slide. So on the top left, this is one of the most famous, I'd say, monuments in Uganda. They are called the Kasubi tombs, and they've been there for about 200 years. They are the burial tombs for the Kabakas, all kings of Uganda, and all the kings who have died are usually buried on those grounds. It's a very elegant grass thatched house, as you can see. So I'll tell you a bit of Ugandan food. Many of you could have heard of Rolex, but in Uganda, Rolex means something entirely different. Rolex is a type of fast food which is sold in many makeshift food cafes. Basically, it is omelette with a vegetable and a flat bread they call chapati. It's kind of like a version of, you'd say, McDonald's. Lots of people like it. It's easy to make and it's quite cheap. Below bottom left, you see, I show a picture of matoke, which is the yellowish food you see here. Matoke basically is a common side which lots of people eat, and it is made out of green banana, like banana which hasn't gotten ripe yet, and it's eaten with all kinds of gravy. Now the picture of the grasshopper here is very interesting. That grasshopper in a local Ugandan language is called insenene, and it's edible. In many parts of the country, it's considered a delicacy. And if you see the picture to the right of it, the small picture to the right of it, when it's cooked, it looks like that, and lots of people like it. Now, the interesting thing is this insect, this grasshopper is trapped in the night using a very, very bright light. That's the easiest way to catch them because the light attracts them. Now, the picture to the top right shows border borders. Border borders are basically motorcycle taxis, which are common across Uganda, and lots of people use them to travel because they are usually easier to beat traffic, and secondly, in places where you can get taxis, where taxis can't go, like in some small villages, these motorcycle taxis can get you there. Okay, so before we wind up, I'd like to tell you how do you say hello and goodbye in 3 main Ugandan languages: Luo, which is my language, native language, Uganda, and Swahili. So let's get started. So how do you say hello in Luo? In Luo, you say Kopango. How do you say hello in Luganda? In Luganda, you say Oli Otia. Oli Otia. How do you say hello in Swahili? In Swahili, you say habari. And many of you may have heard, or some of you may have heard of Swahili because it's more known internationally than Luo and Luganda. Let's go on. How do you say goodbye? In Luo, you say Wataber. And in Luganda, you say wherever. In Swahili, you say Kwaheri. So those are, if any of you ever ends up in Uganda, if you remember these words, you can at least say hello and goodbye. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd like to thank you all for spending time to learn about Uganda with me. I hope that you all stay safe, and when everything everything gets back to normal, you can get back to school. Goodbye.